It's a Get Foxy show. Today's guest, Mr. Barton Scott. Barton is a chemical engineer and a nutritionist and the founder of Upgraded Formulas. Barton, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
So welcome. Yeah, it's great to be here.
I am a big fan of kind of hearing people's personal stories about how they ended up in their role and how they serve others. So you didn't grow up thinking you were going to be a chemical engineer or a nutritionist or a founder and owner of a supplement company. So how did that all come about for you?
Yeah, an innovator. Ultimately, I definitely didn't think I was going to be an innovator in the space of like science and nanotechnology and supplements and creating a new way to get minerals to absorb. No, I didn't think that. My family was good at chemistry, and we had compounding pharmacies and things like that where you have chemists in the back that are making special medications and things like that. And I think a lot of people were in my family were entrepreneurs, and I just thought that was normal. But I got started really because I had to. I think that's the story for a lot of people with any big push they make in life. I'm so proud to be able to share everything that I've learned to cut down just this pain and suffering that people have, that they're going to go through inevitably if they don't do some of these corrective measures. And I'll be blunt, like it's at some point your health becomes your biggest concern, more so than anything else, your family, anything, because you realize how pivotal it is if you can't work, if you can't provide, if you're depending on other people to take care of you. If you're like me, where you lost your memory, your short-term memory in your mid-20s, bit by bit, thanks to overtraining in sports, thanks to trusting medication that I didn't need and that no one needs to focus, things like Vyvanse, Adderall, and just this whole slew, this kind of perfect storm of environmental toxins and stress and how all these things deplete the body and what we can do about it to reverse it. And I think that's the most positive message that I have to share is just what we can do. There's so many levers we can pull to literally age in reverse if we've been beating our bodies up and not even intentionally, just not knowing the code that our bodies are talking to us in and what to do about it. So happy to get into it.
So if I got this right, you said you were in your mid-20s and you started losing your short-term memory due to a combination of overtraining athletically and then various medications?
Yeah, I played a lot of different sports from like second grade or so on all the way through high school, and then so I was really big into wrestling. And that sport, you just push yourself so hard, and you're cutting weight, or even if you're not cutting weight, you're not really eating that much. You're limiting nutrients, not only the macros, the calories, but more importantly, what those break down to. So your minerals, and that's what we can really get into today, is not vitamins, but how minerals specifically shape everything, and how there's this periodic table that we all either liked or hated in school, and how we can use that to understand our bodies, because it's a reflection of the universe. It's a reflection. I mean, we're just a composition. No matter what your religious belief, scientifically, you are made of elements that are here on this planet. I think everyone, if they're smart, can agree on that, because it's just like, it's measurable. Like, try to live without magnesium, I dare you. And that's what, manganese and potassium and chromium to affect blood sugar, and we can just go on and on and on, and what minerals support certain functions and what can help you look youthful, like all these different things. But yeah, I started to lose my memory in my mid-20s, and it was super scary. I'll be honest, it was so terrifying. Oh God. And I was pretty in touch with my body, so I think I saw it coming. But I knew, I was like, oh my God, like, what is life going to be like when I'm 80 if I make it that far at this rate? So I had chronic deficiencies from athletics, from football, from wrestling, but mainly from that sport. And then when you take just terrible medication, there are controlled substances, methamphetamines like Adderall and Vyvanse, and I took small doses. Even then, I knew what dose was and how much that mattered in the chemistry of the body, the chemistry lab that we have, that we call our body. And yet it's still really messing me up. And I'm so passionate about people not doing that, and understanding their alternatives. And that's really what mineral balancing with minerals that actually absorb super well. And that's the key part, is knowing the map, and then knowing how to use the tools and having the right tools. Because regular mineral supplements, you don't reverse your deficiencies. So you stay in that place of low energy, can't follow through on your goals. Maybe you have a cup of coffee, you have some insights, but then your follow through is so low because you don't actually have the real energy to sustain you. And that just feels terrible. And people just kind of end up curled up in a ball going like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. So yeah, it's big.
Well, what I'm hearing is that once we get in a state of deficiency, it's difficult to come out of that using regular supplements. So how does one, first of all, how do you find out whether or not you're deficient in these essential minerals? And then what do you do to, I mean, if regular supplements aren't the answer, what is the answer?
So that's what that's what took me the last 8 years to figure out. Well, not the last 8 years. But it took me about 4 years, and I've been working on it for founded Upgraded Formulas in 2016, when I was working on this already and had some real breakthrough insights. And was like, okay, got it. Okay, this works. This is what people need. And now it's time to make this a real company and take investment and do these things. So the answer was, I realized, so as a chemical engineer, I had a really practical training, where it's not like normal college stuff where you kind of learn some stuff and you do as much and you can't, in testing, and you just kind of get by or whatever, even, and you might have a 4.0, but you don't really remember anything. That's not how that degree works. You literally have to learn like a minor in math, minor in chemistry, and then you apply that you have to remember that, learn it, and apply it to your chemical engineering courses. And I only say that for people so that they can imagine why this is even possible. But I was able to take all these learnings, look at an industrial process, improve it with some nanotechnology principles so that we can have minerals today that absorbs so well that when you take your magnesium, you sleep better the first night, even if you have a mild deficiency, and just about everyone does. And then when you sleep better, then your habits during the day are better. You think better. You're less likely to snack, so you save money on snacks. You save time on snacks. You save time going to the bathroom again and again, like getting rid of this waste because you snacked all day. Your body feels better. Your skin looks better. You start to have higher level thinking. You start to break out of the matrix, so to speak, and beautiful things can happen. But nutrition, I'm really fond of saying something that kind of dropped in for me during a meditation, which is nutrition becomes personality eventually. And that is because nutrition sets the ceiling for our habits. We can't go any higher than the energy we have. And then knowing that, what does that give us? Well, that gives us this personality eventually, because habits, you realize, become personality, and nutrition affects the habits. So eating well is never going to make you well if you're sick. Eating really well, like I was even in my mid-20s, I've always eaten well. I had cut out gluten, dairy. I knew enough about household toxins because of my training as a chemical engineer to know like most of this stuff is made by chemies because companies are worried about their bottom line. They want to make fragrancy things that people will just buy. All of those things, like a common fragrance has something like 300 toxins in it. And you just don't want to be breathing this stuff in. You don't want to be adding it to our water supply. You don't want to be buying it to begin with. You want to clean up. So I was doing all these things. I was ripped. I had a six pack, and I had such debilitating brain fog that I was really scratching my head, because I was like, I'm doing all the things right that I'm being told, and it's not working. And holy hell, was I pissed and upset and scared. And I think I just used that. And luckily I was making really good money as an engineer at the time, and I went to school. I did well enough in school, got a really good scholarship, got through school without that. And so I was able to start this company. I was able to get it, into a cash flow positive state, and like really be able to help people, because like so much sooner, because some of these things lined up despite having this like tremendous obstacle to overcome. I just knew like there's no way I was going to accept it. So yeah, there's just no way I was going to accept that. So yeah.
How did you end up finding out what specific minerals you were deficient in? Because I'm assuming that's what was causing a lot of this fuzzy mind for you.
Right. So that's a great question. And this is like the key thing that I see. It's like people are not really testing, they're guessing. So that's something we've trademarked at Upgraded Formulas. Test, don't guess. Because although I'm sure people listening to this are like, oh, my intuition tells me, I know that I need to eat more of this and that. You really don't know until you test. And then once you test, the beautiful thing is you begin to test again, you test quarterly if you're really going for it, and you dial in tighter and tighter, and your intuition becomes better and better. Now, what to test? Minerals, like that periodic table, our whole world is elemental, so are we. Why would we think ever that we could get by and have optimal health? I mean, we could get by, but we'll never know our full potential if we're not actually testing. So I spent a lot of money on testing, a lot of different tests, and I finally found this test that we sell today. We've taken it and really packaged it super well so that people understand it, it's easy to use, and it comes to them at home. And that test is a hair test from a couple labs that we have that really do an incredible job. Just like anything, certain labs do, for anything that they're testing, do better and worse. But I realized that hair was a lot better of an average than blood. Blood is a day's worth of data, and that's why some, either a physician, nutritionist, whoever's running or putting in your blood work for you, your request with the lab is, they're reminding you, hey, don't, all right, Terry, don't eat, fast, make sure you're. What does that mean? That means that the levels are that screwable with, like it's terrible. It's absolutely absurd. And it's the standard that we've accepted. And it's just ridiculous, because it's easier to go from blood to medication than it is to go from hair to, like hair. When you look at hair and you see elements that you're missing, and you see ratios, more importantly, ratios that are out of balance, which, by the way, anyone listening to this has ratios that are out of balance after looking at thousands of hair analyses. Our nutritionists do such a good job of demystifying this for people, because it's such a valuable test. It's affordable, but it's so complex that, I've had a lot of like really smart doctor and engineer friends that look at this, and they're like, not only do they read it wrong, but they read it completely wrong. And they're like, oh, I'm off the charts high in this. I'm like, actually, that's that's the way it's supposed to be. So you're good in that area, but you need to focus in this area. So yeah, for that reason, hair is so good, because you get an average. So you get 6 to 8 weeks of data as an average. And this is the inch of hair closest to your scalp or your underarm or pubic region. And, you need, anyway, there's instructions on our site. But when you get this, the beautiful thing is, I'm all about sovereignty. I'm all about empowering people to take the power back into their own health. That's what I demanded personally. And that's what we give people.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you can get hair from other areas, because as a guy whose hair's starting to thin on his head here, I was thinking, oh man, if I go bald, how am I going to do this test? So that's fantastic that there's other ways to go about this. When it comes to these tests, what do you feel the top like 2 or 3 minerals that most people are deficient in? What
Mm,
would those be, and what happens when you start getting those back into your system?
mm. Yeah, it's a great question. It really depends, and that's why I say do the test. But I would say everyone would really benefit from magnesium that they'll absorb. And it's not about form, unless you're doing the old paradigm, old technology stuff. And then it's like, oh, do this form or that form for this particular thing. I can take any form of magnesium, run it through our process, and then bind it with something that someone would recognize, like chloride or glycinate, etc. And it's going to be incredible. We use chloride, but it's not, for example, regular magnesium chloride. I just bind the end product with chloride so that, because your body needs it. Your body needs it for stomach acid, etc. So anyway, really, really cool. But potassium, magnesium, our upgraded memory has 5 minerals in it that are key for brain function, memory. It's great for both men and women, and it's particularly good for men. So like all the women should buy that for the men in their lives, because it just balances male hormones. In general, it will help both, and it really helps men, is how I would say it. So some of those are phosphorus, manganese, iodine, and and boron, and that combination, or they're all synergistic, first of all. So chemically they work together. And that's something that I just shake my head again and again, because I see these blends that not only is it bad absorption technology, but they're just chemically antagonistic, so they don't work together. They work against each other. One will block the absorption of the other. I just scratch my head. I'm like, are people not trying to do this right, or are they like, I don't know what's going on there, but I just know that our our approach really works, and it gets results for people. And you see people getting off of sleeping medication because now the magnesium helps them relax well enough to do that. And that's been the case for example, this woman, Lindsay Matthews. She has a massive following online, and she knows a lot about nutrition. But she had been on, and she did a recorded. We did a podcast together, a couple Instagram lives together, and every time we would like get on the Instagram live, she would share something new that had happened. And one time it was, she got off of her sleeping meds after, I don't know, a couple months of taking the magnesium. She just realized she didn't need it. Like, she slept super well. She just didn't take it because she realized, like, I don't need medication. Like, there's no one's born like lacking medication, and medication actually strips nutrients from your body, instead of adding them. So it just masks symptoms. So that's the real difference between supplements that actually work and medication. Medication's only ever going to mask the symptom. It's never going to reverse the root cause. And I really want to say that clearly. The root cause is going to be minerals and removing heavy metals. And minerals help you remove heavy metals. So zinc, selenium, um, for example, help you remove cadmium. They help you remove mercury. Um, Iron will help you remove mercury, but you want to be testing before you're ever supplementing iron. And you really want to be doing a hair test, because you get to see copper and iron together. I know that's a bit of a tangent, but it's so important. If you're listening to this and and you or someone you know has been told that you have iron deficiency, which is probably true for someone you know, that they've been told that, they may actually have copper deficiency. Why? Because it looks the same. So when I say deficiency, you could say anemia as well. And I have run into very few people that understand what copper deficiency is, or that they test for it. And they're also supplementing zinc, which pushes out copper. sets you up for a bacterial infection. So again, we test for all of these things in this one test we offer, and it's like Occam's razor. It's the simplest and best approach to understanding an overall picture of your health, because it gives you these ratios of adrenal function, thyroid function, metabolism. And I just love it. I mean, you can hear it in my voice. I mean, this is so it's so necessary no matter what else you're doing. I truly don't care anything else you're doing, because I like a lot of the top biohackers in the world are either peers or friends or both. And I've helped them optimize further on top of all the super expensive things they're doing this much more affordable thing and getting like just balanced. And like maybe they wouldn't have had to go on TRT, like hormone replacement and things like that, because minerals ultimately become hormones. Minerals and fat are the building blocks of hormones. And I don't know a lot of people that work in hormones that actually know that. And that's hard to believe and sort of scary, and also like that's the truth. So, yeah.
Man, that's amazing. And as a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, I find this kind of interesting from that paradigm's perspective, because we see the bones and these deeper mineral structures in the body as truly the reflections of a person's essence. And so when you're talking, okay, this, we're talking about elemental building blocks in the body that are these deeper structures that reflect our essence. Man, these minerals are so important. So how can people find out more about your products, your company, and how they can work with you?
Sure. So if you're a practitioner, if you're a doctor or a nutritionist, we'll have a course out by the time this airs on how to get certified. If you want to do that, if you just want to do a hair analysis and consultation, grab some of the supplements we talked about. That is the most common things that people pick up are the ones I mentioned. The test and consultation is so affordable. It's a real no-brainer. And upgradedformulas.com, upgraded with an ED, formulas, Formulas. So formulas with an S.com. You can watch some of our YouTube. You can search Upgraded Formulas on YouTube. You can, of course, drop in your email, go to our site, and there should be an ebook that pops up that I wrote that really helps you understand this. Or you could just dive in, do your sample, and talk to one of our nutritionists. The way that works is you just order it on the site. The test kit ships to you. You take some hair, and if your hair is closely cropped like yours, then you can either use underarm or pubic or even chest hair if you're a guy. And then the chest hair is going to be hard to come by if you're a woman, most likely. So yeah, just make sure everybody's listening. Throw a little humor in. But you can go to your barber and have them just cut off your hair if it's closely cropped, and just save all of it, because you need about a tablespoon, because I want our labs to have a chance to test it even more than once. So they test it, they retest it, they compare it. And yeah, it's just super, super helpful. And you get to see all these things. So you could, if you did like any of these tests are going to be more expensive, but like thyroid panels or adrenal panels, you see that on this test. Now, it doesn't specifically say this is what this is what that is, what to do first. That's why the consultation is so important.
Gotcha. Well, I will be including links in the show notes. And now we're going to switch it up just a little bit, Barton, and I'm going to ask you the question I ask all my guests.
Awesome.
And that is, what does Foxy and being Foxy mean to Barton Scott?
That's hilarious. Foxy, knee-jerk reaction is sexy, and it's I think embodiment. I think it's confidence ultimately, and keenness, like savvy. So yeah, I think like being able to dance and be comfortable, being able to like move and just understand that you're by doing so you're providing permission for other people to do so. So not only is it good for you, but it's good for other people. And I would say that there's a real ceiling to how healthy you are if you're not dancing. I don't care what else you're doing, but if you're not dancing like a couple times a week, and this could just be like you by yourself in your house with whoever you're with, or just by yourself, or out like at a salsa club or whatever style of dance you'd like, but something that lights you up. So key. So that's awesome. If you don't mind, the one other thing I wanted to mention is that nutritionists and doctors, practitioners, health coaches, really anyone that is interested in doing this can sign up with us, and become an affiliate, and be able to offer a code to their patients, and just have a commission, have a new way to help people, because this is the way to do it. And you can find that info at the bottom of Upgraded Formulas as well. But especially if it's like you've been in your practice for a couple of years and you understand some options and things like that, you have a good base. Because ultimately, my goal is to empower people to learn this and teach it and take it and really spread it, because we give back to charity water as well, and we have since day one, because they're 100% passed through charity. And I believe fundamentally that we should all have access to clean water, and that it's the most sustainable up level that we can give anyone in the world is clean water. And there's a lot, over 700 million people that don't have it right now. And that charity does a good job. It runs like a smart business where 100% of profits go to drilling the well, because they have their salaries, their overhead taken care of by special donors every year. So it's really well done. And they send you like coordinates of the well you helped drill, and just pictures, and they let you know how many people you're helping. And we're going to drill entire wells with them soon. So with your help as you're listening to this. So please support us, because we will give back tenfold. So it's just like one of the missions that I'm really passionate about.
God bless you for that.
Mm-hmm.
That is fantastic. So listeners, listen up. If you work with Upgraded Formulas, you're also going to be helping folks get clean water. And that is a beautiful and noble thing. Barton, our time is just about up. I thank you so much for taking the time. This has been a fascinating conversation. Not too many of us, I mean, we hear all this about vitamins all the time. Not too many of us get to hear about minerals and the importance of minerals. So I think you're doing the world a great service here. So thank you very much.
Totally. Absolutely. And any listener of the show can use code GetFoxy20 as well, just because I can. And it's good for your entire first purchase. So if you're thinking about getting the full thing, go for it, because it's a real paradigm shift to do so. And it's, when we have the minerals in the right balance in the body, and we have sunlight, and we have water, and we have just enough calories, our body is going to make the vitamins. As crazy as that sounds, but that's what happens. I was able to do 11-day fast because this is true, and just burn the fat on my body with minerals, stay in ketosis, and really up level, get a month's worth of work done. So cool. I'll be putting a course out on that at some point soon too. And these are just tools, they're just tools. So.
Beautiful. Barton, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I honor you for doing good things in the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it. Appreciate you too. This is great.